If the equipment is in your building, you have an exemption and you can sell it.
It's under the same rule.
Well, that adds even more to what we were talking about as an option before, because you could definitely fulfill it that way. You just have to find the hunters who own the property, which you know a lot of them own the property.
Well, they have to be in the building.
Right, I'm saying their business has to be in that building, so, absolutely.
It's written as if it's in their office exemption.
You know what, guys, I think something that is extremely important here is all of these laws, we have to know right up to the edge of that law. Because if it's a legal transaction, there is no reason why they shouldn't be made.
I think on that particular one, you have to use the same provider number.
Well, that's what concerns me about this Jacksonville deal.
The same one,
Provider
provider.
number.
So, what if,
I mean, the same group number.
It's all the same group.
oh, okay, yeah.
Same provider number.
Well, a lot of doctors' groups, they have a group, but they have individual provider numbers. Which could, you know.
So they just have to create a new group, is like you were saying.
Or if they have one ancillary office that they won't use.
You still have to be one group out.
Right.
Have to be
Right,
one group.
that's fine, so they'll establish themselves as the group in that situation.
They don't like doing that.
If they do that for the sole purpose of making money,
People do, by the way, people do a lot of things they don't like for money.
Well, that's why.
Just so everybody remembers
If
that.
one guy in the group is a bigger breadwinner than the
You're
other
right.
guy.
That could be a problem.
He doesn't want to have the
Right,
same provider because the other guy only does surgery one day, but he does surgery 3 days a week.
Right.
So there is a, you know, it's an area, and then you don't want to get stuck in that.
no, but if there's the opportunity with the right group of people, here's just another option that we can put the deal together. That is an amazing part of the
There's
deal.
another dimension, by the way, to keep in mind is that, and you'll be sensitive to this because you deal with people who are very sensitive to the need to get a decent return on a very totally passive investment.
Right.
All right? When you look at the economics, and you just went through it a little bit, when you look at the economics of making the monthly lease payments on a scanner, and you look alternatively as having that loan, but paying out an interest rate of 10% instead of what the banks are charging today, you'll see that the monthly differential between a 10% loan and 7 or 8% loan, which is pretty standard, is like $1,500 a month. So, on the other hand, if you have a passive investor that's got $2 million and it's got to go somewhere, offering him, 10% instead of the 4.5%, and it's constantly dropping, he's going to get in the bank, is a bonanza. Because it's totally passive income and it's an amortized loan. So that's also very attractive to investors.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's what I'm going to be, one of the things I'm going to be looking for. And everybody here ought to be looking for them. You all know guys who are in the financial business. Ask them, if this was the asset that you wanted to be able to sell, what would be the best attractive ways of being able to do that? You will come up with ideas that we don't all know about. And what we should be doing is building where everybody can be picking up on these ideas that everybody's bringing to the table. Somebody knows one thing in specific, another person knows another thing in specific. So let's put together as many ways that we can fund these deals as possible. Okay, that one. Yes, Lou.
Glenn, maybe it's worth repeating because in your pre-lunch session,
Yeah,
but you identified a number of potential customers.
yeah,
You talked about how this should be presented as an investment, not necessarily a better scanner
right.
or a competing scanner. But the key is a numbers game. You got to pick up the phone and you got to call. And if you call 50 people today and you get 2 leads out of that, that was a good day.
That's a good day, yeah.
So maybe it's worth revisiting the
How to do
technique of
that.
actually
Yeah.
getting these new leads.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was why when we talked about, and we were just talking in the break a little bit more, it has to be a teaser pitch, guys. You have to be willing to make the calls, but it has to be a teaser pitch. Do not get into educating somebody on the telephone. And 2 out of 50 is a good number. I tell you what, you'll make a lot of money on those 2 out of 50. And that's a pretty reasonable day. If you're not actually seeing people, you can easily dial that number of numbers. Number one, you're calling commercial locations, so everybody or has somebody answering the phone. I mean, your odds of connection are very high, and the way that we've been talking about, and Dr. Damadian had mentioned earlier, set it up where it's a step. First the receptionist, work to the office manager, find out when the office manager has her meeting with the doctor weekly, and make it so that you set an appointment to follow up with that office manager where it's a preset time for right after that meeting occurs, where you can follow up to be able to ask specifically how he received the information. So the questions to those first two people that we've been asking, frankly, are, did you know there was such a thing as an upright MRI in our test calls? And just like I said, just about every receptionist said, no, I've never heard of it. Well, I've got to get you this information in your hands right away, knowing they already take a fax. So you can send them something immediately. So now they have it in the hand. You have their agreement that they will give it to the office manager. You might even make a call somewhere in the middle to verify that that happened. That the appointment with the doctor, because the office manager, they're together all the time, but they are talking one patient while he's running out and throwing her the chart and going to the next room. That's not when they talk about new things. They typically get together once a week. And at that point, she'll present this new machine in the area. And the next point after that is actually going for the appointment with the surgeon, which would then be set with the office manager. Now, if you do it in this way, I would be saying everybody has to eat lunch. If he's blocking you from having them get out or get in front of them, you should take them out. Offer people to take them out. They will come out. It may not happen on the first time, but they will come out. The other thing that I would suggest, really as a great additional option, tell him if he doesn't want to have a one-on-one lunch, set yourself once every 2 weeks or once a month, a lunch where you're going to have a group of people together. Some of them won't want to come one-on-one feeling like you're going to gang up on them. But if you say I'm going to have 10 other doctors at this meeting to share this information, you're much more likely to be able to draw people out. So you want to consider both ways. So you want to work your way up this, because trying to call the office and just say, I want to talk to the doctor about an investment, without one or the other, the receptionist or the office manager, you're just not going to get them.
What they're gonna say, send us a prospectus,
Right.
send us something.
And it's right, and it's generally, well, we are. I know that the company is considering some mailers of getting this information out in a blast. But you know what, I agree with you. As far as we'll get a splash from it, and we'll get response as a direct mail return, which is great. But you're still, I think, once you make your calls, you want to have something that you can immediately put in their hand, even if they already have that information together, because they see this relationship building. It's really good phone skills all revolve around building the relationship. Once the person who answers the phone recognizes your voice, in my opinion, the sale should be 50% of the time. Because what's going to happen is those will convert, now I should qualify that, those will convert at like a 10% rate in appointments. So not 50% of the calls you're going to make. What they convert to getting you to that appointment, those are always going to be your best leads. Because they've created that buzz we were talking about inside their own operation. Because now the girl that answers the phone or guy that answers the phone goes and talks to the office manager. It's now been transmitted and they have something in their hand. We coordinate when we do phoning specifically to the mail. We do what's called wave mailing. So if I have one person on the phone that can make 100 contacts a day with our system, 3 days before I drop that mail. So the day I'm contacting them, I know a high rate of chance yesterday or today they got my piece. And that gives a very effective way of dialing. The only thing there is you can't do gigantic amounts of mail because you can't chase them that way. In your own deal, though, of lead generation, if you even said I'll put out 20 pieces a day and chase it, I guarantee you in a matter of weeks, you'll be getting your new prospect every single week. If If you can fill your book with 50